Number two, and some of these will be shorter. How do I avoid persecution, Brother Hugh? I don't like the thought of persecution. It kind of it rankles the feathers. It makes the hair on my neck rise. It envelops me in fear. I can't hardly stand the thought of it. How do I avoid it? Well, let me give you just a few simple steps you can take to avoid persecution. Laugh at the world's humor. Give them a good belly laugh. Dress like the world dresses. Unbutton your shirt a few buttons. Bring up the skirt. Drop the trousers. Have at it. You'll fit right in with them. Keep quiet when someone uses your God's name in vain. Sit there. Clench your teeth together. That's another way. Don't mention hell to anyone. Nobody likes to hear about hell. Tell us about the streets paved with the gold, but don't mention hell. Don't draw any hard, fast moral judgment about anything, because everything is okay now, you know. Everything is A-OK under the sun. You know that, don't you? That's what the world's convinced us all of. There's a problem with this approach. In order to do that, you've got to advocate your position as a disciple of Jesus Christ. You can do all of those things I just said, but you won't be able to display any of these 8 Beatitudes if you do. None. Period. Question number 3, when will persecution come to my life? I don't know. I don't know when it will come. I just know it will come. There's no way to know when. These other Beatitudes, brothers and sisters, the other 7, are in the present tense. If you take it back to the original Greek, the verb is are. If you look at this one in the original, it's in the perfect tense. In other words, it's, how do I explain that? In the present tense, blessed are those who are poor in spirit. Blessed are those who are peacemakers. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst after righteousness. Blessed. That is continual and ongoing. You're not poor in spirit one day and not the next. That is a hallmark of the Christian every day. That is a continual and ongoing hallmark of the regenerate heart. You're not hungering and thirsting after righteousness one day and backing up 10 feet the next. You're not meat one day and hard as nails the next. But brothers and sisters, in the tense of the verb where we're speaking of being persecuted, it's intermittent. It's not continual and ongoing. It's intermittent. It may happen today, and you may feel the effects of it for days after, but you may have no more severe persecution ever. It could be. If you've been a Christian for any significant amount of time, there ought to be able, while I'm preaching here, there should have been coming to your mind some time in your past, if you've been a Christian for any significant length of time. If you were converted yesterday, probably not. But if you have been a Christian for any significant length of time, you ought to, in your mind, right now as I speak, be able to look back upon your past and say, yes! Yes, in that instance, I suffered for the cause and the sake and the righteousness of Jesus Christ. And it cost me something. It cost me a friend. It cost me a relationship. It cost me a job. It cost me trouble. It cost me whatever. I was in partnership with his sufferings, as Paul has said. My voice, hold on just a second.
It's okay, brother.
Oh, excuse me. Look at verse 11 with me. Blessed are you when men shall revile you and persecute you and shall say all manner of evil against you falsely for my sake. Do you see the futuristic anticipation?
Future anticipatory. Mm-hmm.
There, in reading that very verse, every one of our hearts is told, is instructed, it's coming. When? There's a futuristic tone in that. Sarah, when your car gives out of gas, go fill it up, here's $20. Go get a quarter of a tank, here's $20.
A tenth of a tank.
There's a futuristic tone in that. Your car may not be empty right now, but it's going. If you drive it back and forth from here to the house long enough, it's going to get empty, isn't it?
A tenth of a tank.
And you're going to need gas, aren't you? So when it's empty, take this 20 and put gas in. It's the same thing, brothers and sisters. The same sense of the use of the word. Also, we should know this morning that persecution, we're told in that very same verse 11, persecution comes in different shapes and forms and manners and sizes and so forth. Not long after the time of Christ and the apostles, there was a wicked tyrant. Name was Nero.
Mm-hmm.
He had Christians dipped in wax and he placed them on stakes in his garden and
set
lit
on
them
blaze.
fire
Mm-hmm.
to illuminate his garden at night.
It's the nephew of
I believe
Caligula.
1200
Mm-hmm.
is the word, is the number that I remember. If I'm not mistaken, that's right.
Nephew of Caligula.
That's persecution, isn't it? Every one of the apostles, except John, died some sort of martyr's death.
Mm-hmm.
That's persecution, isn't it? John's the only one that died of old age, as far as we know.
101 years
That's
old.
persecution, isn't it?
Yes.
When you die the martyr's death, when you give your neck to the sword, when the spear thrusts you through, whenever you're crucified upside down, as tradition says that Peter was, when you're boiled in oil, whatever, that's persecution. None of us would deny that, right?
Amen.
But Jesus' words here to us, brothers and sisters, today, don't relegate that as being really the persecution he's at all focused on, does it? Blessed are you when men shall revile you. Blessed are you when men use their tongues against you. Blessed are you when men shall revile you and persecute you and shall say all manner of evil against you falsely for my sake. We used to say as children, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can never hurt me. A bigger lie was never told. Words hurt, don't they? Granted, in comparison to being dipped in wax and set on fire, you can call me any name in the book, and I'll take that. But brothers and sisters, let's not negate that Jesus Christ lends very much weight to the words of other people and how they hurt us. He's point blank, lends a whole sentence of his very breath in comforting us with the comfort of blessing when that happens to us. That's no small matter. How does persecution come? Well, persecution, of course, is going to bloody extremes. in the 2,000 years since Christ was here. Hebrews 11, in that great chapter of the roll call of faith, after it gets through naming names, it says this: and others experience mocking. They're in there with the roll call of faith. Mocking and scourging. Yes, also chains and imprisonment. They were stoned, they were sawn in two, they were tempted, they were put to death with the sword. They went about in sheepskins and goatskins, and they were ill-treated, men of whom the world was not worthy. Brothers and sisters, in all of those circumstances, those that were mocked, those that were in prison, those that were in chains, those that were sawn in half, those who were pierced through with the sword, and every one of them, the same end result, the same thing is pronounced upon them: blessed are. Oh, what great glory. Christ has not demanded that I give my neck to the sword for that blessing. Do you see what great joy that is this morning? Diana, he's not going to demand that you give your head for the same blessing that he's giving Paul when he gave his neck to the sword. What a wondrous mercy! What is the prompting of studying about persecution? I'm going to try to line this up very quickly. Well, first of all, brothers and sisters,